All right, hey guys, what is up? It is Bibzuda back here once again on the Outlast trials. And in this video, I'm going to be going over what you should spend your relapse tokens on. What order should you permanently unlock things after completing relapse following the Season 3 update that's coming on April 22nd at 10 a.m., which is tomorrow. So get excited. We are almost there. Before I jump into it, I just wanted to go ahead and say thanks again to all the new folks who have subscribed out there. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure to do so down below if you want to catch all of the Season 3 content I'm going to be coming out with. Trial runs, challenges with the custom trials, escalation to infinity, pretty much everything that you're looking for. Definitely hit subscribe. And don't forget to smash the like button as well down below. We don't have any buttons in game to hit to represent that, but I think you guys get the drill after so many demonstrations. But yeah, without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and get into, first I'm going to talk a little bit more about what the prestige system is. If you have a clear understanding of what the prestige system is, just want to hear on my opinions on what you should buy, I'll leave a timestamp down in the description for you to skip to the part where I actually talk about that. But I wanted to talk about this first because it seems like from the questions I've been getting on my stream and just in general that there seems to be quite a few misconceptions on what this prestige system actually is or what a prestige system is in general. I thought that it would be a little bit more widely known how prestige systems work, given how popular of a game and series Call of Duty is and how they've had it for forever. I mean, Call of Duty's had prestige since before I can remember. But yeah, it seems like a lot of people don't really understand how exactly it's going to work and what everything means. So I want to try and clear that all up really quick here. First of all, there's not any new unlocks as far as prescriptions, rigs, or amps are concerned. All the unlocks are staying the same. There's not going to be any player power reward for relapsing. That is not something that exists, at least not currently. It's something maybe they could add in the future, like maybe tier 4 prescriptions will require a certain number of relapses to buy. That's speculation, but currently nothing like that exists. You're only doing, essentially you're only relapsing for, in case for someone who wants to continue grinding and maybe get the cool plaque outside your cell and all that. There's potentially going to be some sort of cosmetic like outfit reward. I don't know that for a fact. That's been a rumor. We'll see tomorrow when the update drops if that exists or not. But for the most part, the main reason you're wanting to relapse is so you can continue gaining XP. So XP becomes a relevant reward again to you because for anyone who's been max level for a while like me, XP is pretty much irrelevant at almost all times, except for the single day after an update when you can get back to max level again pretty quickly. So it's going to be nice to have that reward space opened up to you again and just being able to continually grind and increase something. It's like I mentioned before, the stamps are something you can continually collect, but they sort of lose their meaning after a little while whenever you get enough to buy, several catalogs worth of items. And the same might be said for levels after you do a bunch of relapses, but again, I guess it's a matter of opinion. But basically, that's it. I mean, a lot of people have been saying they want more incentive to do it or things like that. I don't think there's going to be anything like that, at least not at the start here. So for me, the XP grind on its own is enough incentive, but maybe that's not the case for a lot of people. I just wanted to clear that up. Also, just to make sure you know how it works, level system is changing to go all the way up to 99, from 1 to 99. You relapse at 99 whenever you've hit it, but it is optional, completely optional. I need to make that clear as well. Some people don't seem to understand that it is optional as well. You don't have to do it. So you get to 99, you can relapse, and then you get reset to level 1. All of the items you've unlocked with your green Murkoff vouchers get locked again. So you can't use them. All your prescriptions, all your amps, all your rigs, and their upgrades. You keep all your cosmetics, you keep all of your stats, everything else stays the same. You just lose those permanent upgrades. And then you will get one permanent unlock token where you can pick any of those upgrades that you lost and unlock it permanently. So if you relapse for the first time, you can pick one upgrade, and then when you relapse again, you will still have that upgrade and you'll get another permanent unlock. So as you do more relapses, you'll slowly maintain, the loadout you have for, a greater amount of it. And eventually, if you do it a lot, you can keep everything and just keep relapsing for, just the fun of getting that number to continue going up. But that will take forever, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, that's basically the summary of how relapsing works and what it's going to be. So hopefully that makes it perfectly clear to anyone who maybe wasn't sure. I just wanted to put this section in to make sure people were fully aware of how it's going to work. Now, let's get into talking about a little bit more about what I think you should buy. Now, let me just pull this up really quick. But for the most part, there's 3 different things you can buy, obviously, with your permanent tokens. There's prescriptions, amps, and rigs. And obviously, it's definitely can just be up to your personal preference what you want to buy. If there's some prescription that you want really, really bad, like you feel like you can't live without instant use or slide, maybe you can use your first relapse token on that if you really want. It's important to note that prescriptions work the same way as they did when you were unlocking them for the first time. So you can't relapse one time and then get a tier 2 or 3 prescription. If you want to permanently unlock tier 2 or tier 3, you have to first permanently unlock all of tier 1. And then the same goes for tier 2 to 3. Additionally, rig upgrades can't be permanently unlocked out of order. So if I were to want to upgrade my stun rig here, I would have to buy activate first and then so on and so forth. Activate, I think, is the one, yeah, that's what you get as a base. But then, so that would be, I spend 1 relapse token to unlock stun and get activate there. And then you have to spend 1 to get expanded radius. I can't skip down to like prepared or anything like that. You can't do that. Sorry if that's covered up, but yeah, you get it. You know, it can't be done out of order. Can't skip down to extended duration. Have to get expanded radius first after unlocking the rig to begin with. So that's important to note. Because you wouldn't like, maybe it would be more worth it to just instantly take one of the tier 2 prescriptions because they are very, very strong. But you can't do that. You can't skip prescriptions. And with that being the way that it is, I think pretty much the thing you want to buy first, absolutely, most likely with your first 3 relapses, although you could argue that it doesn't really matter if you get a medicine amp, but I think you should buy amps, absolutely, because unless they change this, which it is possible with the update, and I'll obviously cover this in the patch review, the amps have level requirements, as I'm sure most of you know. Maybe some of you who are max level have forgotten at this point, but especially some of the good amps have pretty high level requirements. So in the tool category here, thankfully noise reduction is actually pretty low, currently at level 22 required. So maybe if you don't want to immediately spend on noise reduction, obviously you can avoid that. I'll go through maybe quickly which ones are good in their level requirements. Lockbreaker has level 34 required, and then Backpack is 52, Short Circuit 58. And those are the 4 main amps that are decent. So I think you should pretty much figure out which amps are your favorite or what amp loadout you want to use. Obviously, again, personal preference completely, but I think amps are absolutely the best way to go because you can't buy those immediately after you relapse. Like if I relapse and get to level 10, I can then use all the vouchers that I've gotten up to that point to buy like whatever rig stuff I want, whatever prescriptions I want, however many vouchers you have at that point. Of course, you can spend on any of those. But even if I was level 10 and had 10 vouchers, again, I don't know how the vouchers are going to be changed with the levels, but I could not buy noise reduction, for example. That would be impossible because I'm not high enough level. But you don't need to have the level requirement to use it if you've permanently unlocked it. So that is the most important thing to know, in my opinion, is that you should absolutely go for an amp setup to start. The skill amps are the ones that are a bit higher level requirement, even for the ones that you want. So these bottom 3 are the main best ones. Although I know some people are fans of Hide and Restore. That requires level 24. Invisible, not really good these days, level 36. Smash, my favorite amp in this category currently, is level 48 required, strong arm 54, and its evasive maneuvers all the way up there at 60. So yeah, I'll probably buy a skill amp first, probably Smash with my first relapse token. But again, up to you what amps you want. I just think it is clearly the best approach to buy amps to begin with. And then for medicine, the medicine amps generally aren't great, so I don't think you really need to worry too much about buying one of these for your with one of your tokens. Maybe your third one if you want to have a full amp loadout, but I would maybe even consider moving on to prescriptions at that point. But again, up to you how you'd like to do it. As far as which amps people use, Last Chance is level 32, Incognito level 38, And then boosted, which I know some people like, is level 50, so that's pretty high. 56 for self-revive. Actually, if you didn't know, Bandage Expert, by the way, has the highest level requirement in the game at 62, which is kind of counterintuitive since you'd think it would be a more of a lower leveled amp, but it's just because it's one of the newer ones and it got tacked on in the level requirements. Maybe they'll rebalance level requirements or do something different, but again, that will be in the patch notes. Hello, reagent number, random stuff. But yeah, so that is what I would say is the best way to spend your relapse tokens at the start, is to go ahead and get all the amps that you'd like to have on each of your relapses because of those level requirements. Now, after that, it's kind of up in the air how you'd want to do it. I would probably spend my fourth one, given I spent my first 3 on amps, on a rig, probably, just to have one at level 1 when I relapse. So I'd probably just grab the stun rig. Not necessarily going to go into the upgrades immediately. I'd probably just want to have one just so I can continue playing uninterrupted with a rig. That is most likely what I would say. And then I would probably start moving into the prescriptions. Now, the prescriptions are kind of a big commitment because you have to buy so many of them to get the best ones. But obviously, instant use is nice quality of life. I know some people might struggle without slide, of course. Slide is kind of something that you use without thinking about it, but it is a prescription that you will lose on your first relapse and, any subsequent that you don't purchase it. But once you get all 7 of these, you can get into the tier 2 ones, which are super good. Expanded inventory. Door Basher actually doesn't matter too much if you have Smash Amp, obviously. But like expanded inventory, breaching technique, I mean, they're all good. Like every single one of the tier 2 prescriptions are really, really strong. I found that without battery extension, it's actually like half battery life. I swear to God. I swear battery extension like doubles your battery life. So yeah, I mean, heavy training makes a huge difference when you're carrying items in the trials. So I'll probably want to try and get into these tier 2 prescriptions with my relapse tokens as soon as possible after getting that amp set up. And then once you have the best tier 2 prescriptions, like maybe you don't need breaching technique. But like all these other ones are so good. Yeah, I would honestly think I would just get every single one of these except maybe Doors Basher, because I would have Smash for the most part. But then if you don't have Smash, you take 3 hits. So you got to be careful that if you run a trial with no amps but still have your prescriptions, maybe you do want Doors Basher. I don't know. It's up to your choice. But then once you get that, tier 3 is not as important. Obviously, accelerated stamina recovery is good, but not as huge of a difference. Same with deep breaths. And then the rest of these are pretty not important, in all honesty, just in general. Anti-ambush is, it's just, obviously, self-defense technique is quite good, obviously, to save your grade from tier 1. But, yeah, so I guess if tier 1 had an order to take, I might even take self-defense technique first. I don't know. Then probably instant use, slide, and then maybe run and smash doors. And then these other 3 are not as important. Regeneration probably first. Or sorry, these 3. And then obviously, if you're playing in teams, you want to be able to help your teammates out if possible. Although you can throw a bottle or something if you need to stop an execution. But then, yeah, these tier 2s are going to be amazing. And then as far as rigs are concerned, obviously, probably the best approach would be to just pick your favorite rig and upgrade it all the way. Again, I would probably wait. I'd get my rig maybe as my 4th relapse token, and then I will go for the prescriptions and then come back and do a rig once I get all the tier 2 prescriptions. I would probably fully upgrade one of the rigs. Most likely going to be stun unless they do a lot of balance changes here, but maybe you're someone who prefers the jammer or heal or whatever rig you like the most. Just pick that and then probably just max it out over several relapses. Again, this is going to take quite a long time, I am sure. A lot of trials, a lot of XP grinding, but just to give you some sort of a roadmap as to how to spend those tokens as you go about the completions of your relapses. So that's probably what I would do. And then once I had one fully upgraded rig, maybe I would go for another. Maybe I would go for a jammer or a blind as well. Or maybe I would go back and get those tier 3 prescriptions. Maybe I would go back and start filling out the amp loadout. Like maybe even before you go to the rig, you want to get another amp, like maybe Evasive Maneuver if you're going to want to be using that against the Jaeger. Maybe Strong Arm if you like using that against Witnesses. And again, maybe you just want a little bit of variety in your amp selection. You can go ahead and buy those. Obviously, as you do more and more relapses, these things are going to become less and less important. So maybe even once you get a certain amount of prescriptions, you find that after 10 levels or so, if you have a lot of the tier 1 prescriptions, then you can easily buy, maybe you don't need to unlock all of these immediately with relapse, because you can just do a few trials, level up a bit, get some green vouchers, and buy them immediately. So maybe you want to go to amps later. So it can be a mix of things like that. But getting a lot of the tier 1 prescriptions at the very least out of the way so you can quickly get into tier 2 with your vouchers is going to be the way to go, I think. So maybe you don't need to fully unlock this entire thing and can go back to diversify your amp loadout as you see fit. Because again, those have the level requirements. The amps are the only things with level requirements that you need to worry about that you can bypass with these tokens. But yeah, it's so you can kind of mix and match in whichever way you want. If you find yourself missing some particular amp as you level up again, you can go buy that. But if you don't care about any other amps, you have the 3 that you want and you're good, then just keep buying the prescriptions, upgrade the rigs that you like, and go from there. Obviously, as they add more stuff to the game, if they add more amps, more prescriptions, more rigs, maybe what you want to buy is going to change depending on when you're starting your rebirths or your relapses. Obviously, as someone who's going to be playing quite a lot, eventually come to the point where you'll probably have extra relapse tokens that you can spend on items from new updates to just get them right away. But obviously, not many people are going to be grinding quite that much. So just be aware of that. Like maybe if you're someone who plays a decent amount, but not so much that you have relapsed and unlocked everything, maybe you don't really want to bother spending your relapse tokens on X-Ray or, the barricade rig, and you can just save them up in case they come out with a big batch of new stuff. Like a whole new tier of prescription would likely be, however many each of these tiers is. I think tier 2 has the most with 9, and then the other 2 are 7. Is that right? Yeah, so maybe like another tier of prescriptions is going to come out. There's going to be another 7 things you maybe want to have on your relapses. So having an extra stockpile of the tokens might be a good idea, and you would have regretted wasting them on something like an X-ray rig for no real reason. So that's probably something I'll do. Is like, obviously I'm going to go for trying to unlock everything with the relapse tokens, but eventually I'll probably stop spending them unless I have a decent buffer for any potential future updates. But that's pretty conspiratorial and out there as you get to the higher levels of relapse. But that's pretty much it. So that's about all I have to say about the relapse mechanic. Hopefully this helped you guys out. Hopefully I clarified how it actually works for folks who might not know. Leave any of your thoughts or comments in the comment section below. What do you think about the relapse mechanic? Are you going to be going for everything, or are you just going to stay at level 99 and not relapse at all? Obviously, that is an option for anybody who wants to do that. And what do you think you're going to unlock first? What's going to be your unlock order for your relapse tokens? Let me know. I did change the camera a little bit for this video. I hope it didn't make too big of a difference. I tried to stop using Elgato's horrible camera hub software. That was absolutely, it was using like 20% of my GPU for their camera management software. So I got rid of that, and I'm able to still use the camera, but I wasn't able to have the same like slight zooms and tweaks I had on it. So the camera might look a little bit different. Hopefully it's not too big of a deal, and I can tweak it as much as I need to going forward, but I did change that for this video. But yeah, I will be live tomorrow for the update. Make sure to check out the stream. I'm going to be doing my patch review first. So at 10 a.m. when the patch comes out, I'll record the patch review, talk about everything in the patch notes, especially things that I haven't covered yet that I didn't know about that were coming. And then I'll be going live to do my first run-throughs of the new trials. And then we'll probably maybe do some start the community escalation run with save and quit. Start doing some random custom trials, some super hard challenges. It's going to be a fantastic day in the Outlast trials tomorrow. So make sure you subscribe so you get notified of the stream. Or if you prefer Twitch, we stream on both platforms. So definitely go over to my Twitch and follow me, twitch.tv/bibzuda if you'd prefer that. And yeah, that's going to be it. I'm going to go ahead and say big thanks to my channel members whose names are going to be popping up on the screen here, especially to those in the Reborn Reagent tier. So big shout out to Mr. Crypt. Also, if you want to support the channel, click the join button down below to see what options are available. Much appreciation to all of you guys for your generous support, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for the big update. Peace.